When you turn 80, something strange happens. The world doesn't look at you quite the same. And if you're honest, you don't look at yourself the same either. The mirror reflects a face that has seen thousands of mornings. The hands carry quiet evidence of time. And yet, inside you still feel like you're 40. You still dream, still hope, still laugh at the same silly jokes. But your body, your faithful companion for 8 decades, starts whispering, "Slow down. Things are different now." And it's true. No matter how healthy, active, or independent you are, turning 80 brings changes that you simply can't ignore. Some are physical, some emotional, and some almost spiritual. They sneak up quietly in your energy, your sleep, your appetite, or even your patience. At first you might fight them thinking, "I can't be slowing down yet." But over time you realize this isn't punishment. It's nature's way of reshaping your life to focus on what truly matters. 82-year-old Elaine once said something beautiful. Turning 80 felt like someone quietly turned the volume down on the world, but turned the brightness up on life. She was right. The small things become larger, the noise fades, and the meaning grows. But before that peace comes, there's an adjustment, and for many, it's confusing, even frightening. That's why this conversation matters. Too often we only talk about aging as decline, about what's lost. But here on Senior Ways, we believe in talking about what's real, the truths that might be uncomfortable, but can set you free once you understand them. Because once you know what to expect, you stop resisting and start adapting. In today's video, we'll talk about 5 things that happen once you turn 80, whether you like it or not. They're not myths, not guesses, but real science-backed and life-tested changes that nearly every senior experiences in one way or another. Some of them might surprise you, others might make you nod in recognition, but all of them will remind you that aging isn't an ending. It's simply a new rhythm, and learning that rhythm can make all the difference. So if you're over 70 and wondering what's next, or you have someone you love approaching this milestone, stay with us. What you're about to hear isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to prepare you, empower you, and help you embrace your 80s with wisdom, humor, and grace. And before we begin, if you find comfort in these conversations, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Senior Ways, where we talk about growing older, not as a problem, but as an achievement. Thing number 1, your energy changes. You have to spend it more wisely. When 79-year-old Harold turned 80, he noticed something strange. It wasn't that he suddenly became weaker, it was that his energy arrived in smaller doses. "I wake up fine," he said, "but I get tired faster than I used to. I have to plan my day like a battery, use a little here, save a little there." That's one of the biggest truths about hitting 80, your energy shifts. It doesn't vanish, it just becomes more precious. Your body, after 8 decades of service, becomes more selective about where it spends its strength. You might find that 2 errands in one day feel like a marathon, or that after a long phone call or a visit, you need extra rest. This is completely normal. The heart, lungs, and muscles gradually lose efficiency, not because you've done something wrong, but because biology says so. According to the Mayo Clinic, after age 80, the average person's oxygen capacity drops by nearly 30% compared to midlife. That means less stamina for long activities, but here's the key. The solution isn't to stop moving, it's to move smarter. 84-year-old Nancy calls her new rhythm the gentle schedule. She wakes up slowly, enjoys her coffee without rushing, and spaces her chores throughout the day. "I realize," she said, "I can still do everything I love, I just can't do it all in one morning." Your 80s teach you that rest isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The trick is to treat energy like currency. Spend it on what matters, laughter, walks, conversations, and waste none of it on guilt. So if you find yourself slowing down, don't panic. You're not breaking down, you're balancing. Your body isn't quitting, it's negotiating. And when you listen to it, you discover that life actually feels calmer, more intentional, and beautifully sustainable. Thing number 2, your emotions deepen. You feel more, even if you show less. There's something quietly powerful that happens in your 80s. Your emotions become richer, not weaker. You may cry less, but feel more. You may speak fewer words but mean every one of them. 82-year-old Thomas used to be a talker, always full of opinions, always in a hurry to explain. But after his wife passed, something inside him softened. "I used to think I knew what sadness was," he said. "Now I understand it's not something you escape. It's something you live beside." That's emotional maturity at its finest. By 80, you've experienced enough joy, loss, regret, and renewal to understand that feelings aren't enemies, they're teachers. You stop chasing happiness and start appreciating peace. You begin to understand that quiet mornings, good memories, and small comforts matter more than recognition or achievement. Neurologically, this is fascinating. Studies from the University of California show that older adults have more balanced emotional responses because the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, becomes less reactive with age. You literally become better at letting things go. Arguments that once kept you awake now pass like clouds. Grudges lose their grip. You start choosing harmony over pride. But this emotional depth also means you might feel more sensitive to beauty, nostalgia, or loss. A simple song or photograph can stir your heart more than before. That's not weakness. That's the reward of living long enough to feel life in full color. 80-year-old Margaret puts it beautifully. When you're young, emotions hit you like storms. When you're 80, they move through you like weather, and you know the sun always returns. So yes, turning 80 can bring more tears, but also more gratitude, more softness, more clarity. And perhaps the most surprising gift of all, you start feeling closer to life itself. In the next part, we'll explore thing number 3 and thing number 4. 2 changes that reveal how aging transforms not only the body, but also the mind and relationships. One of them might challenge what you think you know about memory and intelligence, and the other might explain why your circle of friends naturally becomes smaller but stronger. If you're enjoying this conversation so far, please like this video and comment below. What's one emotional change you've noticed as you've grown older? Your story might remind someone else that what they're feeling is perfectly normal and beautifully human. Thing number 3, your memory changes, but your wisdom sharpens. 80-year-old Bernard often jokes, "I walk into a room and forget why I'm there, but I can still remember what my father told me 70 years ago." That, in a nutshell, is what happens to the aging brain. At 80, memory doesn't disappear, it reorganizes. Short-term recall might slip, but the long-term wisdom you've gathered becomes sharper, more meaningful, and more available when people need it most. Many seniors worry about forgetfulness, misplacing keys, repeating stories, or forgetting names. And yes, mild changes in memory are common. The brain's hippocampus, which stores short-term information, naturally shrinks with age. Blood flow slows, neural connections take longer to fire. But here's the part most people don't hear. Your brain also becomes more efficient at connecting patterns, understanding nuance, and recognizing emotion. Neuroscientists call this crystallized intelligence, the accumulated wisdom of experience. You may forget a date, but you'll never forget a lesson. You might not recall a name immediately, but you'll instantly know who can be trusted. You start seeing life not as random moments, but as a woven story, and you know where the threads fit. 83-year-old Rose said it perfectly. "When I was 40, I had speed. Now I have perspective. I may take longer to remember things, but what I remember matters more." So if you sometimes lose a word or repeat yourself, don't see it as decline. It's simply your brain prioritizing meaning over noise. It's no longer racing, it's curating. And that means when you do speak, people should listen closely, because what you say carries 80 years of proof behind it. Thing number 4, your social circle shrinks, but your connections deepen. Something else happens quietly. As you enter your 80s, the crowd gets smaller. You stop calling everyone, you stop attending every gathering, and you start noticing that your contact list, and sometimes your patience, grows shorter. At first, this can feel lonely. You might wonder, why don't people visit like they used to? Or, why do I feel distant from some old friends? But with time, you realize this isn't isolation, it's evolution. At 80, your social priorities change. You no longer have the energy for shallow small talk or the desire to maintain relationships that drain you. You start valuing peace over popularity. Studies from Stanford University's Center on Longevity confirm this. Older adults naturally shift their social focus toward emotionally meaningful relationships. They prune away the noise to keep what truly nourishes them. 81-year-old Richard describes it simply, "In my 40s, I wanted a full table. Now, I want a full heart." He meets 2 friends at the park twice a week, and that's enough. We talk about our wives, our aches, and our grandchildren. We laugh, we complain, and then we go home feeling human. This change isn't something to resist, it's something to embrace. Fewer people doesn't mean less love. It means you've learned to filter for quality. And while it's true that some friends pass on or move away, the connections that remain become deeper, more spiritual, and more healing. Even solitude once feared becomes comforting when you realize you're no longer trying to impress anyone, you're just being yourself. There's beauty in this kind of simplicity. 80 can be the age of honesty when you finally say no without guilt, rest without apology, and love without condition. As we move into the final part, we'll explore thing number 5. Perhaps the most profound transformation of all, one that changes how you see life itself. We'll also wrap up with a recap and a message about embracing your 80s with courage and joy, not fear. If this message has resonated with you so far, please take a moment to like this video and comment below. Do you find yourself valuing fewer but deeper friendships as you age? Your story might remind someone else that having a small circle doesn't mean being alone, it means being free. Thing number 5, your view of life changes. You begin to see the end as part of the whole. At 80, something remarkable happens not to your body, but to your perspective. The race of life finally slows, and for the first time, you can see the entire road behind you. You see every hill you've climbed, every storm you've survived, and every sunrise you never thought you'd live to see. It's humbling, and it's beautiful. 85-year-old Evelyn once said, "When I turned 80, I stopped asking, 'How much time do I have left?' and started asking, 'What do I want to do with the time I still have?'" That's the quiet shift that happens. You no longer measure life in years, you measure it in moments. This is the decade when many people finally make peace with their past. Regrets soften. Forgiveness comes easier. You start realizing that the people who hurt you didn't always mean to, and that you've made mistakes too, and somehow that makes you gentler with everyone, including yourself. Spiritually, many describe this period as the great settling. The noise of ambition, competition, and worry fades away. You begin to understand what truly lasts: kindness, love, laughter, and memories. You start letting go of things that don't fit anymore, old grudges, fears, and even some dreams that no longer serve you. But this new clarity can also bring an awareness of mortality, the understanding that the road ahead is shorter than the one behind. For some, that realization brings fear. For others, it brings peace. Because when you've lived long enough to see how fragile everything is, you also see how miraculous it all is. 81-year-old Walter said it best. When you're young, you think happiness is something you chase. When you're old, you realize happiness is what happens when you stop running. And that's the gift of turning 80. Perspective. You stop fighting time and start befriending it. You stop trying to hold on to everything and start trusting that what's meant to stay will stay, and what leaves, leaves gently. So yes, things happen. When you turn 80, your body slows, your energy fades, your circle shrinks, and your memory wanders. But what grows in its place is something far greater: acceptance. A deep, peaceful knowing that life was never about how long it lasted, but how fully it was lived. Final thoughts. Let's take a gentle look back at what we've discovered today. Once you turn 80, your energy changes. You learn to spend it more wisely, saving it for the things that fill your heart, not just your schedule. Your emotions deepen. You start feeling life in quieter, more meaningful ways. The noise fades and gratitude grows. Your memory changes. You may forget small details, but your wisdom sharpens because experience has turned knowledge into understanding. Your social circle shrinks. You stop chasing company and start choosing connection. You realize that one real friend is worth 1,000 acquaintances. And finally, your view of life changes. You begin to see the beauty in endings, the meaning in simplicity, and the miracle in every ordinary day. These are not losses, they're transformations. Nature's way of helping you trade speed for serenity, ambition for awareness, and noise for peace. If you've reached 80 or if you're getting close, remember this: you're not fading, you're refining. Every wrinkle, every scar, every quiet morning is a story of survival. You've lived through decades of change, and yet you're still here, wiser, calmer, and more alive than ever. If this message spoke to your heart, please take a moment to share it with someone you love, maybe a parent, a friend, or even your children, so they can understand what aging really feels like. And if you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another conversation here on Senior Ways, where we talk about growing older with honesty, dignity, and grace. Because turning 80 isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning of a new chapter where you finally stop proving, stop rushing, and start being. So as you pour your morning coffee tomorrow, look out the window and remind yourself, you made it here, you're still growing, you're still learning, and whether your body agrees or not, life is still waiting for you to live it.